name is Gareth Owen. I'm the Humanitarian Director for Save the Children UK, based in London. It's the soft stuff that gets crowded out in busy agendas where everyone's rushing to outcomes. And it's the soft stuff, the human relational stuff, that I think, in my experience, is the most important. The ability as a lead agency to be vulnerable, to be authentic, to be honest, to say this isn't about us. We're not bringing this to the table because we want to do well for us. We genuinely need your help. We genuinely seek your help. And we don't think we have all the right answers. And we haven't cooked this up and we're just trying to co-opt everyone to a fixed agenda. I think the co-creation is preceded by co-trust, the creation of trust amongst a group with a vision. And visioning is hard because visioning needs time to contemplate big questions and big philosophical issues. And most leaders are way too busy in their diaries to actually have time to stare out the window and think of grand ideas. But if you don't start with something like that, and if you don't bring an element of humility to your reach out, as a lead agent, so you're going to get people's backs up and they're going to be suspicious about your true motives very quickly. So you've got to be very, very open and very willing to compromise and say, look, we may not have this right. We're humble here. We've got this idea. What do you all think? Create a co-design process, a co-creation process around ideas. And if you do that well, it'll bring the trust. And when it's working really well, people fall out. Because everyone at the start, everyone's polite and everyone's just sort of feeling everyone out. But the best partnerships I've seen is when we're really going at it, hammering tongs and violently disagreeing over the table with people from a completely different walk of life. Then you think, okay, we're really in good partnership now because we've got the trust to bring that kind of creative tension into the room. And that's often a sign that you're really doing something right. And then processes of resolution when people do genuinely have disagreements. So a lead agency role involves a lot of skillful facilitation, a lot of political astuteness, a lot of emotional intelligence needs to be applied into the space, and a lot of sweat effort, bilaterally with the individual partners, if things are going awry, and helping people to come back to the table and resolving, issues. There's all sorts of feather ruffling that goes on. There's all sorts of agenda peddling that goes on. It's the nature of humans, and you have to be quite sort of worldly wise about all that, and sort of quite accepting of all that kind of behavior is not sort of anti the partnership. It's just what people do. So there's a lot about human sort of wisdom that you need to bring as the lead agency. I think people who lead organizations with quite a lot of curiosity and are quite open people tend to be quite good at finding unusual partnerships because frankly, they're curious enough to seek them out. And that helps. I think you can definitely learn the art of good partnering. There are plenty of organizations that can help with that. And often you need that neutral external party, almost to function as partnership coach, team coach, to call out the elephants in the room, to call out the awkwardness. It's difficult to chair a partnership as a lead agency and be the sort of coach of the partnering process. So successful partnerships, I think, bring in that external element to sort of call it out. And that's a great role for expert organizations who have experience in brokering partnerships. And I think there's much more needs to be done on that. There's a lot of coaching in creating these partnerships. And if you're a leader, I think you have to take a very kind of ecosystemic view now of the world that you're in. Everything's a network and every network is connected to other networks. You can't function in sort of managerial silos very easily anymore and be successful because the limits of your own agency and power will be very, very quickly apparent. So you have to have this kind of ecosystemic, ethical partnering mindset to be successful in today's world. And I think that's something that is yet to really be the dominant gene. I think there's still a lot of language around competitive advantage, and actually it's collaborative advantage that really the world needs. And maybe as we go into sort of a pandemic, post-pandemic, almost post-growth period, we may have to develop some humility that allows space for that kind of updating of the kind of institutional managerial program to happen. I think that's alongside this, and then great partnerships will be an outcome from great leaders who think in those terms.
Okay.